Hello and welcome back to the garage. We're going to get started on the XJ750 again. A little bit of backstory. I bought this bike about 6 or 7 years ago with the intention of having a motorcycle to ride. It was in pretty rough shape. The head needed to have some work done. Somebody had snapped off a tap in one of the exhaust mounting stud holes because they were trying to remove a stuck stud. So I ended up having to take the head off and taking it to a machine shop to have that stud removed. I had never rebuilt an overhead cam engine before, so it was a learning experience in a bad way. I actually ended up breaking the engine by bending one of the valves because I had set the timing incorrectly. So we're going to fix that issue. Before we begin, let's go over some basics of engine operation. So we're going to work on a 4-cycle engine, which means it has 4 cycles. You've got your intake, or compression, combustion, and exhaust, or suck, squeeze, bang, blow.
During the intake stroke, your piston will be going down, your intake valve will open, and the air-fuel mixture will enter the chamber. During the compression stroke, both of the valves close, your piston starts coming up and it compresses that air-fuel mixture into a very small area. We want that to squeeze as tightly as possible without causing detonation. That's what happens when the air-fuel mixture is compressed to a point where it ignites under its own heat pressure, heat, whatever. That's how diesels operate. The next one is combustion. Your spark plug goes, which sets off the air-fuel mixture. It causes it to expand, converts your heat energy into mechanical energy, which goes out to the bike. The next stroke is the exhaust stroke. The piston starts coming back up, your exhaust valve opens, and the gases are forced out.
So this is the engine of the XJ750. It's a 4-cylinder inline. The unique thing about motorcycle engines as opposed to car engines is that everything is in one unit. So this has your engine, your clutch, and your transmission in one package. Where with a car you'll have your engine, you'll have either a clutch or a torque converter that's connected to your transmission, and that's what transfers the power. So you've got your intake side and you have your exhaust side. On top you have your valve covers, it covers the valves. Below that is your cylinder head. That houses your valves. It has openings for your intake and exhaust, and it has areas that go through it to allow for oil to go through, and for chains or rods, push rods, whichever you have in your vehicle. Below that are the cylinders. On cars, the cylinders are not removable, but on some motorcycles, most motorcycles, they are. This one they are. And then under that, this is your crankcase. So it actually has your crankshaft that connects to your pistons, yada yada. Let's get into the teardown. So we're going to tear this all down because I bent one of the valves when I did this improperly. So we're going to be fixing our mistakes today. One thing I should mention, this is a Japanese bike. It's all going to be metric. So if you decide you want to work on foreign stuff, which I end up doing a lot, you're going to want to get a good set of metrics. Actually, if you work on a lot of domestic stuff that's newer, most of it's metric because people are starting to wise up and use metrics. Older American vehicles, older Chevys and Fords, they're going to be SAE, which stands for Society of Automotive Engineers. They were really smart using the empirical system.
Here I'm disconnecting the intake boots. They connect the carburetors to the cylinder head.
So this is your timing chain tensioner. It's got 2 little screws that hold it in and then it slides out, and it's a ratcheting piece that's got this little spring-loaded clicker, and as your chain tensioner wears, it lets this little plunger out, and that clicker keeps it from pushing back in when the chain tensions. So just get that ever so slowly, and when your chain wears out, or your tensioner wears out, you need a new one. So the next step is to make sure this gets a top dead center. I took the timing pickup cover off so we can see. Use a 19mm to turn this. Read your manual, it'll tell you exactly how and what to do this with. So we're basically going to try to get this T to match up with that timing mark, and that'll put us at top dead center. Every engine has 2 top dead centers, one on the compression stroke and one on the exhaust stroke. Look at your valves to see when your intake valve closes. After reading the manual, the next step is to undo the sprocket bolts that hold the sprockets onto your camshaft. It says that it's easiest to do that while you turn it. Yeah, I just timed it 90 timings. I'm just taking one of the cam retaining covers off. That way I can get access to the bolt on this side of the camshaft. Always keep track of where you pull each piece from, because if you put the wrong one in the wrong spot, you will have a bad time. So I've gotten the visible ones loosened, so I'm going to rotate it so I can get the other two and then put it back to top dead center. It's very important to keep this at top dead center, because that's how you time it. When you loosen these, you want to do it incrementally, as stated in the book. That way you don't cause any warpage and springing and hey. So the book recommends half a turn on each time. I'm going to do a quarter just because it's easier. There's really no reason other than just it's more funner that way. I don't want to lose my timing chain, so I'm just putting a screwdriver in it so it doesn't fall down in. So now that we've got the camshafts out, we have to pull the guides, which we already pulled the center one. So we've got the front one, and the back one's a little hard to get to, so I'm just going to leave it. The book says you don't have to pull it out. Then we have to remove 4 nuts, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and then we've got 12 nuts on the top. And it should lift off. Cylinder head bolts and nuts have an assembly and disassembly pattern. It's all in the manual. Always check your manual. I'm following along. So as you can see, that piston has been hitting a valve, so it's pretty well screwed. I'm gonna have to see if I can get a new one. So because the cylinder head holds the cylinders in place, there's only one bolt that holds it to the case. It's just this little guy right here. It might be this though. That's holding this up. Of this was made in the instructions. So it's a crush piece, but it doesn't mention that.
I'm using some vice grip to hold the crush collar so that I don't damage the machined areas. The only way to get this off is to cut it off. It's worth noting that I did come back with a vacuum cleaner to get the metal shards away so they don't get introduced into the oil system.
And it slips right off. Cut.
We did well. We got the head torn off, we got the cylinders torn off, we got a couple of the pistons pulled out, the ones that were damaged by the valves that got in the way. I gave up a lot of real estate when I was tearing this down, so I'm going to have to do some reorganization. But next time you see us, we'll be doing some cleaning. I'm going to teach you how to get rid of some pesky carbon deposits and giving you some tips and pointers about how to not lose a bunch of stuff. We've also got a gasket kit on the way. whenever you're doing any rebuild of any kind, always get a gasket kit. Never reuse your gaskets. You're going to break stuff if you do that. Another thing we have to do is we have to pull the engine out that is already in the motorcycle, because we've got to steal the head off of that for this one because of that broken exhaust pipe bolt. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you didn't, that's okay, you'll get over it. Share with your friends. Have a great day. See you next time.